God bless you for joining this week's episode of Biblical Reflections. And if you've watched the previous episode, you remember or recall that we said we started talking about forgiveness. And I laid a foundation when it comes to forgiveness. We spoke about the definition of forgiveness and what it entails according to the American Psychological Association. And we also spoke about the triangle when it comes to forgiveness, that there is the offended, there is the offender, and there is the offense. And it is very important for us to understand also that forgiveness involves willfully making that decision to let go and never to bring up that matter again. And so we want to build on that and want to look at the fact that there is the need for us to know about forgiveness, or why should we know about forgiveness? And that is what we are going to focus on in this episode. And the first reason we need to know about forgiveness is the inevitability of offenses. In other words, as far as we are on this earth, offenses are inevitable. Offenses are bound to happen. People are going to cheat you. People are going to gossip about you. People are going to backbite against you. People are going to abuse you. People are going to insult you. People are going to do things deliberately to try to harm you, to try to put you off, to try to annoy you. And these things are going to happen. Even Jesus said in Matthew chapter 18, verse 7, with a very strong warning, he said, "Woe to the world because of offenses, for offenses must come. But woe to that man by whom the offense comes." So Jesus says offenses must come. So offenses are inevitable. And the offenses that we are going to experience, they are inevitable. Number one, toward God. We are going to sin against God. We are going to offend God. And that started right from the Garden of Eden. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 1 to 21, where Adam and Eve disobeyed God by eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Okay, and also in Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 to 7, where the Bible says that for the intent of the heart of men were always evil. And they were always sinning against God right from the onset. And so it is inevitable. We are going to sin against God. As far as we are on this earth, perfection is not assured. So we will sin against God. Number two, we are also going to offend other people, fellow men, fellow women. We are going to offend them. And that also has its foundation in Genesis chapter 4, verse 1 to 8. And we have the story of Cain and Abel, two brothers. And Cain decided to be bitter because his sacrifice was not accepted. Abel's sacrifice was accepted. He was bitter. And God had warned him. He said, "Cain, sin is knocking at your door. And its desire is to have you. But you must rule over it. You must master it." But Cain failed to deal with it. And out of anger, out of bitterness, out of jealousy, which are all foundations for unforgiveness and offenses, decided to kill his only brother. Okay, so offenses will come. Also in Matthew 18, verse 15 to 7, Jesus talks about the fact that you need to forgive your brother 70 times, 7 times. That was when Peter asked Jesus, "How many times should my brother offend me and I forgive him?" And Jesus said 70 times, 7 times. It means that as far as we are human beings, there will be offenses. Husband will offend wives. Wives will offend husbands. Children will offend fathers. Fathers will offend children. And the cycle will go on and on and on. Bosses will offend subordinates. Subordinates are going to offend bosses. It's going to go on and on and on. And it is inevitable. So offenses are inevitable. They are inevitable. Okay. And also in Mark chapter 11, verse 25 to 26, Jesus said, when you are praying and you remember that you have an issue with a brother, forgive that brother. And then you can go on with your prayer for your prayers to be answered. It means that as far as we are on this earth, offenses are going to happen. They are bound to happen. So that is a reason we need to know about forgiveness, so that when these things happen, we will be well equipped, we will be well prepared to be able to handle offenses and be able to forgive other people. Now I want to give you a quote. This is from the American Psychological Association, which I made reference to in the previous episode. It said, forgiveness is not merely accepting what happened or ceasing to be angry. Rather, it involves a voluntary transformation of your feelings, attitudes, and behavior, so that you are no longer dominated by resentment and can express compassion, generosity, or the like toward the person who has wronged you. Forgiveness is sometimes considered an important process in psychotherapy or counseling. In other words, no matter how offended you are, no matter how angry you are, no matter how bitter you are, you must realize that holding on to grudges, bearing grudges, holding on to offenses, at the end of the day, is going to be to the detriment of your own health. It's not going to affect the other person. So it says that it takes a voluntary transformation of your feelings, of your attitudes, and also of your behavior. So when you know that offenses are inevitable, you will be better prepared to deal with offenses. Then another reason why we need to know about offenses is that it is a cancer that destroys insidiously. And insidiously is adjective. It means that the thing destroys you gradually without you noticing it, until it becomes full-blown destruction, until it degenerates. So unforgiveness is a canker that destroys. And when you read Hebrews chapter 12 verse 14 to 15, Jesus, the writer of Hebrews said, pursue peace with all men and holiness, without which no one will see the Lord. And he said you should be careful so that there is no root of bitterness which will spring up, and then you end up becoming defiled. And so these are the reasons why we need to know about forgiveness. Because unforgiveness destroys. And unforgiveness is a canker. It will destroy you, it will eat you up. And before you realize it, it becomes full-blown. And then it will become very difficult to go back to deal with it. And so it is very, very important that we know about these things. Like I said, the offenses are inevitable. I'm sure probably you watching me today somebody has done something to you that has been on your mind right from the morning, and you are still holding on to it, okay? But you need to change your attitude. You need to change your behavior. You need to change those feelings of resentment that you have towards that person, and let go and not bring up those issues again. Is it a simple thing to do? No, it is very difficult, because there are some human beings that are cantankerous. It can be so difficult to deal with. But when you know about these things and their foundations in scripture, it helps you to be better equipped to deal with offenses. And I hope that we've built on our foundation. Now you know the reason why you must learn about forgiveness, because of its foundations in scripture. And in the next episode, we will try to understand forgiveness from God's perspective. Look at the example that God has for us from the scriptures to be able to deal with offenses as and when they come. Thank you so much for watching. And it is my prayer that as you watch this on forgiveness, God will give you grace to start releasing, to start letting go feelings of pain, feelings of resentment, and feelings of anger toward whoever it is that has offended you. God bless you. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.